Welcome to Follow Up Boss Office Hours. Excited to get back into this. We took a month off for Kickstart, but I'm here with April Stevens. April, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Lee?
I'm
How's
good.
everything been going? We missed you this past month.
I know we took a little break.
Yeah, the Kickstart series had an amazing turnout. And for anyone that wants to rewatch any of those, can we drop that link in the chat, Lee?
Absolutely,
I'll
I
drop
will
it in
find
there.
that. I will find
I'll do
it.
it for you while you're. I know you're over there allowing a million things, and so we can get live streaming on Facebook and all the places.
Doing all the things.
Yeah. All right. So I'm dropping this in the chat. That's just a link to our recordings for the Kickstart series in case you might have missed one. But yeah, excited to be back here with you, Lee. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always good to hang with you, and whether it's on Zoom or in real life.
Yeah, right.
So today we're going to talk about tuning up your Follow Up Boss setup. I think the main area where we're going to start is a little more focused on owners and admins, because obviously you have different permissions and things they can do to tune the whole account. But we will cover some things for agents, specifically ways to clean those up and all that stuff. And for those who maybe somehow don't know you, April, you want to give us a little, just what do you do at Follow Up Boss and all that jazz?
Yeah, for sure. I am one of our success team managers. We are your, we're in the question marks, right? If you have a success manager in your team, one of my team members is inside your question mark. So you can always schedule a strategy call with us if you need us. We provide ongoing strategic support for our teams. And so I'm one of 15, I think now. Our team is just growing so much. And so we're happy to be providing so much service to all of our teams. And we work, with support. Support can answer your technical questions. And then if you're wanting strategic type coaching and that kind of thing, then reach out to your success manager for how to be successful using Follow Up Boss. But I'm proud to be one of the 15 people on our wonderful team and ever growing.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, you guys are the best. I've known a lot of you guys for a long time, and it's so great. You can just reach out with a quick thing, or you can grab a meeting and run through your account and all that jazz, talk strategy. So
we always want to help. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's give them a little taste of that today in tuning up the Follow Up Boss. So in April, if you want to share your screen, we can dive right in. I think got a lot to tackle. We're going to try to keep it reasonably short, but want to make sure we give valuable info for you guys.
For sure. So I guess first, like, why are we even meeting today, right? Why do we need to tune up our Follow Up Boss account? And I think similar to anything that you are, you care about and that is important to you, you should do basic tune-ups of that, right? Your car,
right?
You tune up your air conditioning. So you need to tune up your Follow Up Boss, and there's no better time than the beginning of the year. Dogs barking. There's no better time than the beginning of the year to tune up your Follow Up Boss account, right? And so we want to just be sure our systems are running efficiently. And so I think we'll start with the account owners and admins. Do you have anything else to add there, Lee?
Perfect. No, I think that's great. And we'll drop a link to this guide as well. It's a bit of a checklist of all the things we're going to cover.
Yes.
But yeah, let's go ahead and hop in and
okay. Sounds good.
Lee
has this amazing Follow Up Boss checkup guide. And everyone knows Lee, of course. He's with Amplified Solutions. And if you reach out to Lee after our office hours today, he has so many resources just like this one that you can get as being a part of, being a customer of his. And so definitely, Lee, I love this. I didn't see this until you and I were prepping for this webinar, and it's just so chock full of value. So we're going to kind of run through this together. But basically, when we're thinking about tuning up our Follow Up Boss account, we want to start with stages, right? That's one of the most important things in Follow Up Boss. Is your stage list simple and cohesive? We want to be sure that we're checking that, because over the course of the year, people could add stages, or maybe you added a stage earlier that you didn't remember you added, and you're not really sure. Maybe you have two that have very similar meanings, and you might want to make them more crisp, more clear through your team so they know exactly what that stage means, because that's the most important thing about a stage. They can literally say apples and oranges as long as everyone knows what they mean. And so less is definitely more. We don't need, 5,000 stages when our tags are what we can rely on to further segment our database. So keep that stage list really clear and concise and crisp for sure.
Absolutely. And importantly too, I want to mention this on the stages too, the order is really important. If you want your agents to follow a bit of a workflow, we're going from lead
with you.
to hot to active to closed. getting them, and again, only the owner account can edit these.
Right, right.
Another cool feature too, April, is obviously you can click on the number, the blue number, to take you to all the people on that stage. So if you've got a
Right.
stage here, and you're like, why is there one person in the stage? Who is it?
Yeah.
You can hop right in, even edit that person out of that stage if you're going to get rid of it, and then delete it.
Yeah.
Or if you go to delete it, it'll prompt you in bulk, where do you want to reassign?
Yes. And one thing I really like about this demo account is that, and I recommend this for all of our customers, is to put out what the stage means beside it for these time frames. I want to know, like, if you just say hot, we don't really know what hot means maybe. So it does help to have the time frames out beside it too. And I love what you said, Lee, about making sure this makes sense. So many times I see lead like way down here and cold's way down here, and it bothers my OCD. I can't handle it. And so some people have different ways they want to organize. Some, like the agents stages are up here, and then maybe you're doing some recruiting or something out of your account and you've got recruiting stages, but put the ones the agents need, make their lives as easy as possible. Put theirs right up here front and center, because that's what they're going to see first when they're on a lead profile and they go to stage. You want them to be able to see the first ones to choose from those. Some people say like follow the money, you know, and they'll do cold, warm, hot, and then so on and so forth, but you can sort them any way you want to, as long as it, you know, makes sense and it's consistent with your team and what you all want to do. But really good stuff there. So just take a look at this. If you haven't in a while, here's a really good one. Here's a contact and a contact do not market. So you can, I mean, that clearly has two different meanings, but I see sometimes people put contact and then they put, you know, like vendor or non-client, and you're like, what does that mean? You know, you got to have a very specific definition of those stages. Really good. Now, in addition to the stages, you know, our stages directly go into our smart lists. Our smart lists tell us who to follow up with every single day. And so if we have a stage, but it's not represented in one of our smart lists, there's the potential for that stage to be in no man's land and it's not being followed up with at all. And for some stages that may be okay, but for a lot of our stages, they need to be represented in one of our smart lists so we don't lose those people in the cracks. So the same time you're doing an audit of your stages, do a quick audit of your smart list too, and make sure that your stages are represented. And when you update the names of those stages, you want to be sure that your stage is actually showing here. Because if you update some of those names, sometimes you'll have to reassign it here to those actual smart lists. So just be careful when you're making those updates. This is a great time of the year to make sure all of your smart lists are reflective of the actual stages that you want in your filters. So, and then two, I'm going to throw this in here because I love these numbers so much. I think also it's a great time to, say agents, let's be sure your smart lists are in the right order, right?
Yeah.
Because they may have been working all last year with their stages in all sort of wonky order. And so I really like, on the success team, we found that this blue number emoji will stick, and we love the look of them because they're blue and they're follow boss. And so we've been using these. And so you can number your smart list and then have your agents easily just say, hey, put them in order, and they can just drag them. And once they do it one time, it's set. But as you make updates to your smart lists, they may need to reorder some things. And so it's nice for them, nice and easy just to have them numbered for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Second that as much as humanly possible. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, like Lee says here, smart list 0 is the way to go for an easy day-to-day approach. We want this to be something that they can hop in every day and be a solid workflow for them. That's what's so great about our smart list and Follow Boss. So definitely make sure stages and smart lists are in check. Those are the two most important things I'd say. Yeah. And then tags. Oh boy, we all love tags. A lot of
us too much.
Yeah, some of us, you know, we have way too many tags. Some of us have OCD about our tags. I can't tell you how many customer calls I've been on, and they're like, do I need to get rid of all these tags? And I'm like, no, don't get rid of them. They're good for history. And what's overwhelming sometimes is looking at this page, because this page may have 1,000 tags on it, right? Yeah. And so I would recommend, however, when you are an account owner, you can come in here, or an admin, come in here to admin tags, and you can adjust some of these tags if you want to. Say, I don't want SOI anymore, or I don't want trigger new inquiry. So I can just hit the X. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes, I am. And now it's gone. So just be careful you want to do it.
Perfect.
It does thankfully warn you.
And now you can edit them. I mistakenly told someone, I was
Yes.
like, oh, you can't edit them. You have to do whatever. And we hopped on office
Yeah.
hours and I was like, there's the edit button.
I know, isn't that great?
Love it.
I think I was with you, Lee. Like I used to say, you got to assign them all to the old one and then start the
Right.
new one. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, just hit the little edit button and then you can edit whatever you want to here. If you want to combine, maybe you've got one that says November import, one that says November imports, then you'd want to click on the one that you don't want to keep and then just mass assign the new one first, assign the new one first, add the new tag, and then you can remove the old tag and that will help audit your tags and clean that up.
Yeah. And it will go away when it's at 0.
Exactly.
You don't have to
Yep.
delete it if it's at 0. It'll just stop showing up.
Yes. And that's definitely helps with sanity as far as tags go. But don't feel like this list has to be at 30 or 40. This list can be a lot, but you just want to be sure nothing's confusing for your agents. And that, especially if a tag is triggering an automation, those are really important tags to make sure you're auditing and that you don't have multiple types. And for your agents, if you just say, hey, the tag already exists, don't make new tags in certain cases, then this problem is solved. Usually what happens is if they can't figure it out, maybe they'll make their own, and then you end up with multiple iterations of the same tag.
And especially with the system like Sisu or Ylopo, like those are tags that power a very specific thing. If it's got an S or an underscore or something funky in it that's not supposed to be there, it will cause problems. So we won't go too deep in that, but yes, you want to use the existing tags.
Yeah, exactly. All right, perfect. All right, let's see what else. That was a good tag thing. And then custom fields. Oh my goodness, yes, custom fields. I love custom fields. And they definitely need auditing as well. I'll tell you why the biggest reason is because if agents on your team are doing imports and they import a custom field, then you may look here and you haven't looked there in a while and you've got all these brand new custom fields, you don't know how they got there. And it's typically because your agents are importing leads and are mapping to a custom field, and they might not be meaning to. So you can talk with them and clean that up. But you just want to go through and make sure you don't have like close date, closing anniversary, home anniversary. You might not need all 3 of those. Maybe in your case, you need all 3, but it's something to look at, So definitely clean those up as needed. And similar to the stage that we were talking about, you can click on these and actually see, okay, what data is in here? Do I still need it? Is that important that I still track that information? And one thing to note here, it's fairly new, not so new anymore, but you can hide if empty, but we have read only now, which means only owners and admins can actually edit those custom fields, which can be very helpful sometimes.
Yeah, I love that feature. And there's also a new feature too, not to get too deep on it, but with the hide if empty, I used to not be a fan of hide if empty because some things you need to see, like if there's not a Ylopo stars link, maybe that means you need to get them in with a stars link. But that said, now there's a button on the bottom of your actual custom fields in the contact record that says show hidden custom fields. So that's a little easier workaround. So I'm editing my opinion on that slowly.
Yeah, I'm with you too, though. I think, if you have 500 custom fields, hiding the ones you don't want your agents to necessarily fill out all the time, that's a good use of that. But, definitely the ones that you're kind of encouraging your agents to fill out, they need to see if they're empty all the time. I agree.
Awesome.
Very good. All right. So ponds. We want to make sure our ponds are clean, right? We want to be sure the right agents are in our ponds.
Right.
I would say as part of kind of your onboarding checklist with new agents, create a document for yourself, a checklist. You can even put it in Follow Up Boss. So when you get a new agent, you make sure you add them to a pond, add them to a team inbox, make sure they're on a group distribution, that kind of thing. Just making sure you kind of check all those boxes for your new people coming in. But with ponds, you want to be sure the pond lead is still accurate. You want to be sure your team members are right. If you need to edit that, you can. And like April, like she's not on this one and she's new. So I want to actually put both of them on there. And so now that one's up to date. And maybe I don't need this one anymore, so I could just trash it. So just doing a little inspection of your ponds as well. Very good. Anything else there? Pretty simple.
No, I think so.
Yeah, that was an easy one. All right, the next thing, action plans automations. This is a big one, right? We want to be sure our action plans, you can look to see if there's any old ones in here that you're not using that are maybe just getting in the way. If you want to, a lot of times this gets pretty long. You can organize them even by folders now as well. So you can make some folders for yourself to really organize, your life here. And that's a fairly new feature in the past few months, I would say, or so, maybe 6 months now.
Yeah,
And
that's a
so
good one. And in fact, something I've done a lot with people, to your point, April, if you're kind of like, are we using this anymore? What's happening? You can even make a folder of like plans to review or plans to possibly delete.
like
And so that way you don't have that there. Plus, if you're asking your agents to use some of these plans manually, like not just in lead flow, but apply manually, it makes great sense to have a folder that's like new buyer action plans or long-term buyer act. Just having them named cleanly will help people actually adopt and use them.
I agree. I love that. I love the folders now.
I know they really are great. I'm looking for nested folders now, but don't
oh my gosh, Lee, give me more, give me more. Yeah, well, so it'll just say between you and me.
Yeah, exactly. And a few hundred people on YouTube. But yeah, folders are great there. And then automations is the next piece. And I think all too many times people kind of set and forget these, which is kind of great if that's what it's supposed to do. If it's like move to a pond, apply a long-term nurture action plan, great. But just making sure you don't have automations running on top of each other or doing funky things.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I feel like sometimes you should even have some sort of spreadsheet out so you know exactly what is happening with what lead, because so many times, you make one in January, you forgot you made it, you didn't look through, maybe it wasn't named the same way you're thinking about naming the new one, but it actually does the same thing. So you really have to stay on top of the automations, or otherwise someone may end up getting the same email twice for whatever reason. So definitely cleaning this up. In addition to this automations, checking and auditing, we want to be sure our birthday emails, if you're using this birthday automation in Follow Up Boss, you don't want that person getting the same dog jumping on a trampoline 5 years in a row. So you definitely want to update your birthday emails. Any email template that you feel like may have a year in it, if you want to update that year, that kind of thing, you want to be sure you're updating the email templates that are associated with your action plans, and then may also be a part of your automations, right? So these are the guts of your action plans. Make sure those are right. Make sure your action plans, the right email templates are in them. Make sure you've got the right ones, and then make sure the automations are tying everything together. Make sure everything is up to date. You've got the right things turned on. They're doing what you expect, and there won't be any surprises there.
Something we do a lot too, April, I'm a big fan of that times run button there.
Me too.
It's such a great way, especially if you do a new automation and you want to check how many times is it firing? Like, is this firing on 5,000 people and we don't realize
what did I do? Yeah,
it's doing the right thing. So a lot of times when I do a new automation, I actually just put either a task in my to-do with a date, or even a note in my calendar that just says, hey, check this automation after a couple of days. And I'll even put, because I'm weird this way, in that invite a reminder, like it's run 7 times as of February 2.
Oh yeah.
Because then when you log in 3 days later and you're like, how many times has it run? You're like, I don't know, is 2,000 a lot or not, So
and I like to reverse engineer it too. So see, like, because it ran on this person, was that right? And if not, do I need to create a condition? That's what, like you said, that's what's so great about inspecting these runs. I agree.
I mean, we'd all rather set it up and just leave it be, but it just doesn't work that way. There's humans involved. There's new features. There's, lots of
and
stuff.
Especially if like a tag is a condition, again, if you haven't audited those tags in a while, it might not be triggering all the right people. So you really have to make sure the whole system is working well together. Keep it as concise and simple as possible. I think simple is the answer to a lot of these things. Sometimes we have the tendency to make it so complicated and we just lose track, and then we get frustrated and we just go through and turn everything off.
Right.
So, all right, very good.
Great. So appointments are next. I think inspecting your, actually email, if you want to go to email templates, that is technically next.
Well, that's okay. I just wanted one more thing here, just to kind of review the percentages here. Like how well are your email templates doing? Maybe get rid of the ones that aren't getting any opens at all. That was the only last thing I was going to throw in there.
No, that's great.
Yeah, but definitely we're going to go over to appointments. I love this. So you want to edit these types and outcomes, make sure they're still applicable to your team.
Yeah, because there's great appointment reporting. So if we're giving ourselves And their appointment reporting is actually also tied to source, um, a number of other things. So it's a lot of great info here. You can really drill down and say, how many buyer consultations did we have? How many of those buyer consultations are buyer won or buyer lost? And again, is there a commonality? Yeah, there's not a ton of data in here because it's demo.
Yeah, that's okay.
But oh, look, our particular lead source here been a great source of buyer consultations, and we close 65% of them. Then that's important data that you're going to want to use when you're making decisions.
Absolutely. And you can always edit those over here in admin appointments and clean any of this up that you need to if you have way too many, or again, similar to your stages tags, if you've got too many iterations of the same thing, it's not clear, clean that up, move them around as needed to so they make good sense what order they're in.
Yep.
And yeah, and just make sure your agents come back in and add those outcomes. That's important tracking.
And agents can even use that reporting. They're only going to see their own appointments, but
That's
agents
right.
can even use that reporting to see which appointments don't have an outcome. So it's like, oh, right, I need to update my appointment from last
Yes.
week that,
Yep.
it was one or whatnot. So
Yeah,
very
so
useful.
good. Yeah, I agree. I love that. All right. And then all of that, we could throw in our new agent goals report, so they are actually going to be able to see, okay, how many appointments did it take me, which is different, but still it kind of falls into auditing your account. You can see, all right, how many appointments did it take me to get to my goal? So we'll just
Yep.
throw that little plug in there for New Year's
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Now groups. This is really important too. Same thing, like when you're onboarding new agents, you want to be sure they're also added to your groups. We don't want to be leaving those folks out, right? We got more people to help work more leads. And so you just want to be sure your groups are right. I really like, just a little pro tip here, for my group name to say what type of group it is. That way, when I'm in lead flow or I'm in a lead profile and I want to assign that lead out, I know if I'm sending out to a first to claim group or a round robin group. So that might be something you might want to add to your when you're doing your audit as well. But yeah, just be sure you got the right folks in here, and that way it'll be crisp and clean. And two, like, maybe these all are very similar and you don't need
Right.
that many. That's too
Right.
many to keep up with, maybe. Just depends on what kind of structure you've got on your team.
Yeah, I love that.
Different
And
locations.
that's great. I'll throw in the other quick tip that I think a lot of people don't realize or maybe stumble upon. One of the cool things about these groups is you can manually reassign to a group as well.
Yeah.
And you could even do it through an automation if you want to get fancy. But
Yeah.
the idea that you're like, okay, I just got a new lead, I don't know who to give it to. Or if you have an ISA and you don't want to have to say like, okay, well, these agents get these leads in this area and these price points. If you make groups for those, an ISA or anybody can reassign to the group and it'll follow the same rules. So you can say, hey, whoever's next available for a buyer's lead, go, instead of trying to think like, oh, is it this guy? And then they go, oh, I'm busy. And then you go back and forth. So reassigning to a group is pretty powerful. And you can see the timer running there.
Yep.
Just
You
better
better
hop in
get
your
on
frame
it,
timer.
Lee. All right. Very good. Love it. All right. What's next here? We've got appointments, groups. All right. I think that was most everything on that list. I've got a couple things over here too. We want to be sure we're cleaning up our inboxes, right? I want to be sure our team inboxes are managed down here on the bottom left-hand corner. We want to be sure these are all still active, right? I want to be sure the right people are being called when we set up these inboxes. We want to be sure our inboxes have voicemails, if that's important to us.
Yeah.
We want to be sure we've got press 1 to answer turned on. And if there's anything else that just needs to be updated in general about these inboxes, it's a great time to go through and audit those as well.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely. That. And to your point, April, having that in the onboarding, add to XYZ pond, or at least just appropriate ponds if you don't know what they are. But yeah, getting them in the group, getting them in the pond.
Team inboxes.
Yeah,
all
team
the things.
inboxes. Just do it once and let it work.
And then make an offboarding too. Like obviously when you remove them out of the account, it will take them out of all that for you automatically. We say that word a lot here at Fall Boss.
I love it.
And so, but if you're leaving that person in for any period of time, you might need to backtrack what you've done there too. All right. So tasks, a big one, right? So some people larger.
No one has overdue tasks. What do you mean?
No, never. So we want to be sure that we are cleaning up maybe you say, all right, last year's over, I'm done. I'm clearing them all out.
You get task amnesty is what we call that.
Yeah.
Start fresh.
Yeah, just start fresh, clear out those overdue tasks, give yourself a little grace there, but you can go through here and clean out any task that you need to. Another one that I think is important, it's a little bit associated with tags, is be sure if you're using newsletter tags, that your newsletter tags are up to date. If you do a newsletter tag each year, or if you are, just make sure new leads get that newsletter tag. Maybe there's 4,000 new people sitting in your database that don't have your newsletter tag. So you want to be sure you're updating anything like that as well. Birthday emails, email templates, we talked about that. Automation triggers, creating onboarding documents. Now we'll switch over to agents, specific things agents can do to make sure their account is cleaned up, ready to go for the new year. Obviously, a big one, make sure your leads are in the right stages, right? We want to start the new year with our smart list working for us well. Right. And so in order for that to happen, our two most important things is to make sure we log our communication, follow up boss, and update our stages, because that's what move our smart list. And so that starts with your people being in the right stages. So take some time, make a goal for yourself, restage 10 people a day if needed. Give those people a call, make sure their stage is updated. That way your smart list will start working for you this year, maybe more effectively than they did last year. Make sure your deal information is clean, right? Maybe you've got some deal information in there from last year that, maybe the commission changed last minute and you want your numbers to be right year to year. So maybe change any splits that you need to. So just do a quick audit of your deals from last year, make sure all that's right. That's a good one. And then also, if your team is sending out newsletters on your behalf, make sure your newsletter tag is up to date for your team lead. Don't make your team lead chase you down for that, right? Make sure your email templates, if you've created your own email templates, make sure you have checked to see, hey, are those getting good opens and click rates? Are they getting a lot of unsubscribes? So you can do that on your own for your own email templates as well. And I love this one. When was the last time we updated our voicemail in Follow Up Boss, right? I don't even know when the last time I updated my voicemail.
This actually happened to me yesterday, not in Follow Up Boss, but an old friend called me, and by the way he answered my voicemail greeting, I was like, yeah, it's not 2015 anymore. You don't need to leave your best number. I think
oh my gosh,
it's on the list.
Fax me.
Yeah, fax me.
Oh gosh, too funny. All right, so definitely record a new voicemail if you haven't done that lately. And next, I think we want to talk about definitely, like, as you're a team leader and an agent, how you roll this out to your team, how you've made these changes, you've gone through this audit process, you feeling like it's running like a well-oiled machine. So now how do I introduce this to my team? So I think that you should host a refresh for your team, host a, Follow Boss 2023, grab some refreshments and say, all right, these are all the things we've tuned up. These are some maybe tweaks, some new processes that we want to make sure we adhere to in this next year. Also going to plug that Kickstart series again. Maybe they I need a refresh on Follow Boss. I don't even remember how to use it. Right. And I haven't been using it effectively. So watch some office hours, watch the Kickstart series, because we have so much information available to them in their accounts right here, getting started in walkthrough, Follow Boss Academy, the Facebook group. There's so much available to them, and get them kind of to help your agents know where exactly to go. Because if you just say, hey, go and Follow Boss and watch some stuff, they're going to get overwhelmed, because there's so much stuff to watch.
And to your point, even just curating that to be, on the Follow Up Boss, I dropped a link in earlier. I'll drop it again in a second. I dropped a link to all of our office hours playlist on YouTube.
Nice. Yes.
But it's a quick tips playlist that has 2 to 3 minute videos on every individual
Those are so
feature.
good. Yeah.
I still use them all the time. Like, I love making videos, and I still use those a lot of times for people. But I love what you said, April, about just kind of also curating it. Like, don't say like, hey, go in and watch some videos in Academy. It's like, okay, this week,
watch this video.
Here's the Pawns video. Like, watch this. On Friday, I'm gonna Slack you a question about how ponds work, or did you go into the pond and get 5 leads and call them or whatever. But you don't have to create all this content. But to your point, April, serving it up in a way that's more digestible and focused is going to pay dividends for sure.
Absolutely. And refreshments. You got to have refreshments.
Right.
If it's an office meeting.
Just saying.
And then,
if it's afternoon.
Yeah. Joe on our team, if he's ever like a couple minutes late to a meeting, he's like, oh, I'm sorry I was late. I was getting us virtual donuts. And I'm like, Joe, come on. Nice. Now I want donuts. But
Yeah,
if you're an
right.
agent, yeah, if you're an agent on a team, I would recommend that be sure you're utilizing the boss method this year. Put that into your daily workflow. Be sure you're going each day into Follow Boss, you're time blocking 1 hour to go through your tasks. Make sure you've taken care of those. Make sure your tasks are taken care of. Those are the very important things that you've created for yourself. Call tomorrow at 5. Set up inspections with a buyer. That's very important, sometimes time sensitive tasks that we need to do. Go through your inbox. Make sure your inbox is zeroed out. Remember, we're syncing the emails to our Gmail as well. And so we got calls, texts, and emails in one spot to make us super efficient. So zero out your inbox. And one little helpful tip here is that if you go through your inbox here and you close everything and you close your emails, it will archive it in your Gmail. But if you go to your Gmail and you see an email associated with a lead, that's a really good reminder that, oh yeah, I need to add that person into Follow Boss. And so that can be an audit as well for you. So definitely use that to your advantage. You're not doing double the work because we are syncing back and forth, which is nice. If you close it here, it'll archive it in your Gmail. If you archive it in your Gmail, it will close it here. And then lastly, go through your smart list each day. Make sure your smart lists are at 0. Time block an hour a day for this, and you will see your business grow. I will say for agents, once you've done your audit, making sure things are running well, make that part of your everyday workflow and just watch your business grow in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't reiterate that more. And I think a lot of times too with a tool like this, especially if you are a little less comfortable in it, it does make it hard to like open it up, stare at a big screen of 2,000 people and kind of figure out what to do. So
Yeah.
the automations, the email templates that are potentially going out automatically through an action plan,
Mhm.
using your smart list are all things that really help you. I don't want to say it this way, put the ball in somebody else's court, but just gives you clarity of what to do.
Yeah.
So if you're reaching out to these people, great. Now they're off your smart list because you called them. Maybe you didn't get them, that's
Mhm.
fine. But most
Mhm.
likely, if your smart lists are set up appropriately, they're going to come back into that list. So it truly is like, my job is to call this person.
Mhm.
Great. Now they're off the list. 3 days
Yep.
later, you can deal with calling them again or checking in or try
Yeah.
to text this time or whatever.
Yeah.
But just having that workflow, and I'm a fan of doing
Mhm.
this earlier in the morning.
Mhm. Yeah,
You
me
can even
too.
schedule if you want to
Yeah.
hop in and schedule some emails because you're working at 6
Mhm.
a.m. Um,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
can do that as well. So just leaning into the tool, and like you said, April,
Yes.
making that time, focus time every day.
Mhm. Yes.
It really does pay off and
Yeah.
generally pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then lastly, how can we set it and forget it, but not totally forget it? We definitely want to continue. Obviously the beginning of the year is a great time to come in here and make some edits, but even quarterly, we might want to put a little note on our calendar. Check email templates, check tags, check batch emails, set up batch emails for the next quarter if I want to. Because just like an email, you can schedule a batch email to go out as well. So maybe you've got some events coming up. You can go ahead and schedule those to go out for the rest of the quarter if you want. There are multiple things that you can do in your account to kind of tweak it each quarter. Also, maybe you want to tune up any automations. Make sure if you've added any stages over the last quarter that you update that. And quarterly tweaks to smart lists and tags, things like that as well. All the things we talked about, you don't have to go through it all every quarter, but pick a couple things throughout the year to continually just keep your database tuned up so that at the beginning of the year, it doesn't take you 3 days to get it whipped back into shape, right?
Right. Yeah, that's perfect. That's so good. It really is. I mean, I know people didn't get into real estate to sit at a computer and do this stuff, but
Yeah.
it really does make your other work life. So you can do this and then go out and sell some houses all the rest of the
Right.
day.
Right. Right. And I think too, it's a good time to plug that Follow Boss phone number, their work line,
Yes.
because we didn't come, like you just said, we didn't go into real estate to do data entry, and like we want to be forming relationships with people. And so if we use that Follow Boss phone number, as soon as we hang up that call, it logs that communication for us. That person falls off our list. We
Yep.
didn't have to make a task. We didn't have to do anything else to remind us to call them again. They're just going to automatically pop back up again when it's time to call them again, which is great. The last thing we want to share is Lee's amazing Follow Boss Handbook template. Are you sharing this with people? What are you
Yeah.
doing here? Wow,
Yeah.
you're so giving.
I mean,
I'm just
people,
always amazed. Yeah,
people
this is
need
great.
stuff to help get their stuff
I love
together.
this. This is so great. I mean, this document, y'all, is just chock full of, stages that you can use in Follow Boss, smart list. Like, this is a glimpse inside Lee's brain, and he's just offering it out to you here. So definitely take advantage of this sheet. It will help you get your Follow Boss whipped into shape. That, in addition to this checkup guide, you'll be in really good shape for the new year.
Cool. Thank you, April. I appreciate that. And that template, there's, I think, the video at the top that shows you how, because that you can't edit that copy. I dropped a link in the chat. You can't edit that copy, but you hit yeah, literally there's a video right there at the top too. So just make a copy. It's yours, put your logo in, put your own stages in. I mean, that's why it's a template. I'm not saying that's the way to set it up. I'm saying map out your setup.
Yeah.
And use it with your agents.
So great.
Awesome. Thank
Did
you.
we
April.
miss anything? Anything else? Yeah.
I think we got it all. I was going to see if you had any parting words of wisdom beyond just go do this today.
No, you go do it today. No, schedule some time. You don't feel like you have to do it all in one sitting. You don't have time for that. Schedule over the next few days, 30 minutes a day, hit something different that we just talked about. Take Lee's checkup guide and do your stages in one day, do your smart list the next day. And before you know it, it's only February. By the middle of February, you'll be ready to go. And then you're going to be in that much better shape for the rest of the year. So just do it. Like Lee said, just get it done. And you'll be so happy you did. And it will make you even more efficient than Follow Boss already makes you, which is just going to give you time to do what? Close more deals, right?
Love it. That's awesome. Well, April, it's always amazing to do these with you. You're so good. You're perfectly on time too. You covered everything and we're like right exactly on time. So,
well, we need some snacks now, right?
That's
now
right.
We need our snacks.
That's right. Now it's afternoon. So
I always appreciate you letting me come hang out with you. Thank you.
Well, it's super fun, and we'll certainly do it again soon. We'll also send out links with the recording to the guides that we sent, but they are in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll hop in now and drop those there as well. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon again on office hours.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for joining. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.